So one of the things that is pretty big right now, especially with our kiddos between the ages of like 5 to 18, when kids have started getting into sports and things like that, are concussions. And if you think about concussions, what I really want you to think about is concussions are actually what we call a brain sprain. Just like you sprain your ankle, your brain is actually, it has some trauma to it. So how do they happen? Well, it takes about 95 G's of force to cause a concussion. And on average, a football player that gets hit receives about 103 G's of force. That just blew my mind. Now, if we compare that to, say, a fighter pilot. Now, you've always heard about the amount of G-force that is put on a fighter pilot. They only have 9 G's of force when they go into a roll.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you're talking...
Well, those drama queens, they make it look so bad.
So, but 9 G's for a fighter pilot when they go into a roll, and your 16-year-old gets smacked on the football field with about, on average, 103. That's craziness, and it takes 95 for an actual concussion to take place. So, on the other side of that too, it only takes 4 G's of force to cause a neck injury. So when we're looking at overall injury, it's not just the brain to the neck as well, especially to the upper cervical region. I mean, this is very, very vulnerable to trauma. So I mean, you can't have a concussion without something going on with your neck at the same time, if you think about just the science behind all that. So about 2.4 million sports-related emergency visits happen every year. 2.4 million.
And I'm really glad that this particular subject has gotten a lot of press lately. I think enough kids got injured that finally it's reached public awareness about it. So I mean, while that's a staggering number, I'm really, really glad that concussions are being taken seriously now, because it can really have long-term effects on a child's neural development. I mean, even teenagers, our teenagers, especially the boys, I mean, they still got a lot of development to happen, and their prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed.
25?
45, I don't know, 25.
Science says 25.
Science says 25. So if you think about a brain injury to a developing brain, I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
It's a really big deal. And so you want to know exactly how are concussions diagnosed? Well, really it's symptom related right at first. So you, headaches, dizziness, blurry vision, vomiting, even the feeling of nausea, brain fog, slow thinking, like they're just not reacting as quickly. Loss of concentration, mood changes, and also sleep disorders. And they're not always present right away. Sometimes it can take up to 2 days for those symptoms to show up. So after any sort of head injury, trauma, whatever, you want to make sure that you're watching. You're not just letting it go if they get up and feel fine when they get up off the field, or some other injury has occurred. It's also important to know when to go to the ER, because these can be very, very life-threatening if they're not addressed immediately. So you want to monitor over a 24-hour period of time. Okay, and even 2 days depending on how hard the hit was, or if you're seeing any of these symptoms. But if there's repeated vomiting, they can't stay awake, slurred speech, I mean, you can really tell that some of these are a sudden severe headache. I mean, like they're grabbing their head and they're screaming. Yeah. And
really, any of these symptoms, whether they've had a known head injury or not, are really emergency situations.
Yeah, so please don't discount these. It's really important to know the symptoms of a concussion when you have an athlete in your house.
A lot of us natural mamas, we want to stay out of the medical system, but an emergency is exactly the time to use our medical system. The medical system in America for emergency care is better than anywhere else in the world. Right. Where we fall down on is lifestyle and things like that. But this is the time to go to the ER. And
absolutely.
Because this can be a life-threatening situation, or even if it's not life-threatening, brain damage, and there are certainly cases of mental handicaps that have been lifelong because of untreated concussions.
Yeah, and if you that period of that 48 hours afterwards is really important to note any serious complications that could come from a concussion. But really, you want to make sure that it could take up to 2 weeks to heal a concussion. So there are different stages that are taken. So think of it as a sprained ankle. I called it a brain sprain. So think of this injury as a sprained ankle. If you are a long distance runner and you sprain your ankle, you're not going to get the next day and try and run 25 miles. You're going to heal. You're going to aid to that ankle. Your brain's the same way. It's not an ankle. It's your brain. It's that master computer of your body. So there are 6 steps to healing, and they can take up to 2 weeks depending on the severity of the concussion. So not only would you need a proper nervous system evaluation, maybe it's the ER first. Okay, maybe you need to really know what's going on. Maybe you need to get some special diagnostics to make sure there's not a brain bleed occurring. That could be a possibility. But after all those things are taken out of it, you want to make sure that not only do you get your nervous system checked. Remember, I told you can't have a concussion without neck issues as well. So you want to make sure that is taken care of. But nutritionally as well, we have a fantastic nutritional protocol to help the healing of this neurological tissue. So be sure and ask us about that. That is so important for healing.
This concussion protocol, we've seen it in action, and there was a particular lady that had been struggling for quite a while. And we were able to implement the protocol for her, and within the next week, she was starting to really feel like herself.
You could see the change in her eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, and she was an older lady, so kids respond even quicker. So that definitely something to keep in mind. Hopefully a concussion doesn't happen in your family, but if it does, we'll keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.